Good morning. We first would like to thanks to the organization for the invitation for our presence in this meeting. The information that we bring you here today is the result of some archaeological works that are still being developed in the geographic area of Alqueves Dam in Portugal. Almost all of them in an archaeological emergency context. Exactly for this reason, we can't yet present the final result. However, we'll try to show you the data already obtained. The south of Portugal has one of the highest concentration of megalithic monuments of Iberian Peninsula. A brief review of the research carried out shows that the earliest reference to the megalithic monuments of this region date at least from the 15th century in documents published by Gabriel Pereira. In the late 19th and early 20th century, more than 700 megalithic monuments were excavated by investigators, such as Leite de Vasconcelos, Estácio da Veiga, Neri Delgado, Carlos Ribeiro, Gabriel Pereira, Emil Cartalhac, among others. The first studies carried out were not systematic, and these researchers were interested in a range of subjects from which megalithic phenomena represented only a single feature among many. Several research projects have been developed during the last 30 years in Alentejo and Algarve. These projects have provided some extremely interesting data about the monuments and, in particular, about the raw materials used in their construction. The traditional forms of megalithic building known in Portugal include many forms of open-air monuments. Mounds or tumuli, which are 20 or 30 meters in diameter and about 4-6 meters in height. Small tombs with a small chamber of circular, rectangular or trapezoidal plant. Megalithic tombs with the access corridor, also circular, polygonal or trapezoidal chambers. Toloi, or circular chamber with an access corridor, sometimes associated with megalithic tombs, as you can see in that image. And the new rock cut tombs, invisible in the landscape. This type of monument is known in Portugal since the 19th century, along the coast of Lisboa, Setúbal and Algarve. The hypogeum of the Quinta do Anjo in Palmela is a group of 4 cavities excavated in limestone outcrops of Miocene, which have an aligned configuration with an east-northwest orientation or a west-southwest orientation, more or less. The typology of all hypogea is the same: a burial chamber, a subcircular plant whose maximum diameters vary between 4 and 16 meters and 5 and 50 meters. The orientation of the openings of the hypogea is quite diverse, and its range might be explained by the location of some village of late Neolithic in the eastern sector of Arrábidas mountain. At the beginning of the 21st century, almost in 2006, the construction of a dam allowed the identification of new monuments. The hypogea of Sobreira de Cima were identified and partially destroyed during the construction of an hydroelectrical plant in Alqueva. The identification and study of these tombs brought a new perspective to the Neolithic burials, since they were not known in southern interior of Portugal. Of the 7 hypogea identified, 5 were located in the construction area. The 3 were already partially destroyed and 2 were excavated. The tomb 1 was preserved with the bones in anatomical connection. The collected grave goods are very similar, but with a notorious absence of ceramics. The bones recovered in this burial indicate a small number of individuals, without overlapping or reutilization. These monuments have different construction techniques. Circular chamber with a short passageway and a vertical well, like hypogea 1 and 2, a well without narrow entrance, and elongated oval chamber, like hypogeum 3. A circular chamber with a fourth chamber and a corridor access ramp, like hypogeum 4 and 5. The corridor and access were found sealed and closed with lids, land and rocks, especially amphiboliths. In hypogeum 5, the entrance to the corridor was identified by a set of small menhirs. The further construction of the water channel network of Alqueva's dam has revealed that this cemetery is part of a vast number of burials spread out in the territory. Extending into the interior of Portugal, the funerary variety that was recorded in the southern Spain during the last decades. Porto Torrão is a large chalcolithic settlement with hypogea pits and other associated burials. Some of the burials were found in pits and trash mounds. In space between 2 pits, a hypogeum was even built, which partially overlaps the outer ditch, indicating that its construction took place at a later stage. The Cardim 6 set includes one monument type Tolos, carved in the rock, and several burial pits. The Tolos had a chamber, long passageway, and an atrium. The chamber was covered with a stone wall that still had the top curve of the false dam. It had traces of the central pole and a red clay floor, as you can see here, the red clay. The sub-rectangular plant of the corridor carved in the rock had also traces of floor slabs and red clay. The atrium had a semicircular structure with 7 meters in diameter and at the southern limit. It had 3 niches and 2 pits with women remains. Following this circular structure, a rectangular area of circulation was also identified. Located near the town of Porto Torrão, the mortuary city of Monte Carrascal might be one of the cemeteries associated with this settlement. This site presents a great diversity and complexity of constructions. Valley or a pit excavated in the rock, surrounded by graves on both sides, display a depth of about 2 and 10 meters and a gap width of about 4 feet. on the west side, narrowing to the east and generally a trapezoidal profile, but irregular. The floor was covered with red clay. The hypogea had a chamber and one or two access corridors, opening at the top, like the hypogeum of the coast. Part of the chamber wall can be built of stone, is closed with schist flags. Hypogea entries are closed with stones, followed by the position of two pebbles, a shell, and a complete ceramic pot. Collective burial. The position of loose bones, some of them, charred at the entrance. The floor of the atrium was filled by association of layers of clay and a large quantity of limestone. All of these materials indicate a Chalcolithic chronology. In the area of Berinjela, new and extensive funerary complex structures with different typologies and chronologies, which goes from Neolithic till the Islamic periods, were recently identified under excavation in the context of emergency works of a major highway construction. Val Barracas impossible to see in the soft, wavy landscape. These funerary structures have been excavated in the rock. Their spatial association with no overlaps or cuts suggests that these structures would have to be marked in the landscape until at least the Roman or Islamic periods. Regarding this architecture, the presence of pits and hypogea was registered. The hypogea have different architectural solutions, like a single chamber and access corridor, or double chamber with a small access corridor between them with side niches. The geological conditions of this new area allowed the preservation of osteological remains and archaeological materials. Bela Vista 4 is located about 700 meters from Val Barracas 1 and also presents a great diversity and complexity of funerary structures with drains and hypogea, which sometimes are interconnected between each other through canals with an unknown function. In a brief analysis of the available dates for these negative structures, the hypogea, between Lisbon and Algarve, we find that the dates obtained for the Sobreira de Cima, the ones with dates known so far, it's the only place for which we had already dates, fit neatly with the same period of time. If we extend this similitude to the Neolithic times, we verify that dolmens, toloi and hypogea are being built and used in southern Portugal in the same period of time. Building to show or building to hide? It's the question. The megalithic construction of late Neolithic and Chalcolithic societies from the southern Portugal demonstrate the existence of groups that had contact with one another by exchanging materials and raw materials. However, they choose different construction techniques to bury their dead. They choose different concepts of monumentality. The new information that has been acquired by the emergency archaeological works in southern Portugal has demonstrated significant differences between the coast and the inland. During the 4th and 3rd millennium before Christ, both in terms of settlement patterns and funerary space. Regarding the funerary world, we have two types of burial structures. First, within the settlements, we have different architectural solutions. The best examples are Perdigões and Porto Torrão. In the first case, with Toloi, and in the second, with Hipogea and Pits. But in both cases, there is the presence of bone remains in trash context. Second situation, funeral structures, in some cases, ruggedly grouped, constituting real funerary cities, which occupy large areas. They were constructed and used for a long period of time. This management of space and architecture reflects a unique situation in southern Iberian Peninsula, which clear links to the Mediterranean world. Thank you.